on TV and in newspapers, we hear angry people marching and saying, "We want justice." But what do they mean? Do they mean they want something that they deserve? Do they mean that they want something that everyone deserves? Do they mean that they want something that they don't have, but some others do? Do they mean that they just want a chance to have something, even if there are no guarantees? In courtroom dramas on television, we see people feeling wronged and outraged, and they say, "We want justice." And in fact, sometimes we think, well, maybe what they really mean is, "We want revenge," or "We want something to happen to somebody else, like something has happened to us." Is that justice? Or is justice the way a society distributes goods and services? Or is justice a fair chance, with no particular guarantees, just a fair and equal opportunity? Or is justice a way that we try to live together in a society that we all want to be a part of? And can there be justice for more than people? Can there be justice for the earth? Can there be justice for other parts of God's creation? Can there be justice for animals? Wow, these are all really important questions for us to think about. But finally, and perhaps most importantly for our time together, my friends, we need to ask, can the Bible teach us about justice? And especially help us to understand this idea of social justice. So in the modern world, clearly there are all kinds of ideas about justice that swirl around us like a cloud. Modern philosophers and theologians certainly talk a great deal about justice, and I'll bet all of us would recognize some, if not all, of these basic ideas about justice and basic debates in modern times. So let's survey a few of these and see what we think about various approaches to thinking about justice, especially from some theologians who have thought about justice in the context of the Christian life. Well, first of all, if you think that justice is basically about distributing goods and services or allowing the greatest goods for the greatest number of people, you'd probably be attracted by the 19th century thought of John Stuart Mill, a British philosopher and economist who was the founder of the philosophy often referred to as utilitarianism. Utilitarianism tried to suggest that justice means the greatest good for the greatest number. But of course, that immediately raises some interesting questions. Is this simply a matter of calculation? Do you want to try to get even numbers across as wide a spectrum of numbers of people as possible? Would you be willing to accept for some to have more than others if it at least raises everybody's higher than what they had before? Would you try to enforce some kind of equality of distribution across the widest number? Would you try to give perhaps some goods more to those that are deserving and accept that for reasons that you've yet to tell us, some deserve more than others? Well, this is a kind of calculation of trying to distribute goods and services, or perhaps even distribute happiness. It's an interesting approach, and at least some of these ideas have crept into a lot of our thinking about what justice means. If you believe that justice is an attribute of a social system that we have all equally chosen to design together, and ideally we all have an equal say in the rules that we're going to follow, if we've, in other words, created a kind of fair contract that we can all agree to and include provisions for those who may need help or those who are weak or in unfortunate circumstances, well, if you think that justice is basically a social contract based on fairness that people from an equal position can agree to, well, you'd probably be attracted to the philosophies and ideas of justice associated with the American philosopher of justice, John Rawls, of the 20th century. John Rawls is not an easy read, but the general idea is that justice is based in a social contract of people who have had fair and equal opportunity to contribute to that contract, and they all